Now, I was reading that when you left home at 15, I guess at 17 or something like that, you worked with the Amish for a while, or?
I did. So let's see, at 15, I had stuck around. I was working in two little towns. It was Bruno and Piatt, Arkansas, right between Mountain Home and Harrison. And that's where I started traveling around. We'd already lived in, I don't know how many states. I mean, you name it, Louisiana, Idaho, Colorado, California. I mean, we were all over the place. And so at 17, a friend of mine lived in Fort Wayne, Indiana. There's a huge Amish community in that area. And so I moved there to be a driver for the Amish. So moved there and they can't have vehicles, but they can lease vehicles and you can drive them around. So at 17, I moved there and got a job with the Amish, driving them around, and that's where I cut my teeth in the framing business. So started learning framing and roofing and general residential construction, and I spent probably 5 or 6 years with them, and then kind of went out on my own. But to this day, I'm still friends with quite a few of the Amish there. I was actually talking to a good friend of mine who's Amish just the other day. Now that Amish community, they actually have cell phones. The elders allow that. The
Sure.
Pennsylvania Dutch colonies are a little bit different, and it's funny because each community is guided by a set of elders, and the
Right.
elders of that particular part of the community, they decide what you get to do and what you don't get to do. But it's a great little the way they run their communities. It's a great system. It's there's not a lot of flaws to it, and they do very well for themselves.
Yeah, I spent some time up in Pennsylvania helping a buddy work on he had an old home up there that had some problems. So we were up there working, and he had a 3-story barn like that was on the side of a hill, and he needed to get the roof done. And I'm like, I ain't getting up on that roof. Not a chance of that happening. And it was big. It was up by Lewisburg, and so a big Amish community, a lot of Mennonite up
Oh
there.
yeah.
And so he had the Amish come in, and I'll tell you, I really like the Amish. They were
What a
fun. They were reliable. They did good work. They were down home, just good. They seem like just really good people.
you have the movie, The Witness, of course, and it makes the Amish look, and the Pennsylvania Dutch, they are a little bit more strict,
Yeah.
we'll say, but most of your Amish, even including the Pennsylvania Dutch, are not. I know plenty of Amish that'll fight you. Right? So they're not quite what they used to be many many moons ago. They're not even remotely like that. But what they do have that a lot of people don't is their community. The way they run their community is a perfect system. The boys, they go to school until about 13, 14 years old, and then they go to work. The girls around the same, and then they start doing work from the home. Um, but they also, I tell you, one of the best hay baling crews I ever witnessed in my life was three Amish girls, and
Oh,
they were running a horse drawn baler, and they baled hay faster than I could ever bale hay. I mean, they were slinging hay bales, but their community, the way they're set up, the kids, they go to work with the parents,
mhm.
and you you get an allowance, and everything is paid for you as a child all the way up until you are married. And once you
Okay.
are married, then you get a piece of property, a house, everything. You are completely set up as soon as you are married, and then you get a paycheck. And then that's your money then. But up until then, you contribute to the family. And you want to talk about prosperity. Like they have, um, that's generational wealth. I mean, the
Sure.
Amish, they are not broke by far because they pull together as family and community. If the barn burns down, they don't have insurance. The entire community comes together. and they build that sucker in a day. And I've seen a barn raising in one day. They're slapping metal on this thing. It's amazing. 100 Amish just hanging off there like looks like a bunch of
Oh
monkeys
yeah.
in suspenders. Blow your mind. Blow your mind, man. But
Yeah, when
that's something that we need to get back to, because we try to do this lone wolf crap. I'm just going to do this by myself. I don't want to get to know my neighbor. I have never seen I've seen Amish get mad at each other, but I've never seen Amish shun each other as far as within their community.
yeah.
It is a perfect system, and that's something we need to start looking at with where we're going in this world.
Yeah, one day when we were up there and they were supposed to come in and work, they let us know like, "Hey, we can't make it in today. There was a death in their community. It was a baby had died." And so like, "Oh, okay." And later on that day, out in the just out in the middle of the farm fields, there was an Amish hardware store. And it was great, get everything. And then they have stuff that you'd never see in most other places. So we went out to the hardware store, and as we were driving out there, we passed by where their cemetery was, and all the men from the community were out there digging that grave. And
Yes.
it's still, I still think about that to this day. It was like, talk about a sense of community and everybody coming together and rallying around that father and the mother.
Yeah.
My understanding was all the women were baking and doing all the stuff to get ready to have that funeral, and the whole community, like, no one worked that day. Everybody took off for that day and maybe the
Yes.
next day to take care of what they needed to take care of the people in their community.
Oh yeah, and that's like I said, is there? I'm not saying wear suspenders. Look, I like buttons. I'm not really into clasps, right? My
Right.
good friend John, I won't mention his whole name, and just in case he's watching television at Mickey D's one morning, uh, but and happens to catch the Mind for Survival podcast, but yeah, he that guy. Those people are just the salt of the earth,
Yeah.
and we really need, with the world this world is going, we need to start getting back to those type of basics and those type of foundation in life, because you're talking about these people grow their own food, they raise their own livestock, they go without electricity, hand pump wells, coming together in communities, building. They run their own sawmills. They have their own schools. You know, it makes me kind of feel ashamed of myself where I'm at in life, and I'm pretty self sufficient.
Right.
But no, that's where we need to start looking at. I think people need to really look at getting back to that place in life. That
Yeah.
community that I guess it really just doesn't exist anymore.
Are you set up pretty well for off-grid stuff? Grid goes down or anything like that?
Ah,
Or
we're looking at solar, and of course, solar is a two-edged sword. Maybe there's if Chris Weatherman gets it, if he nails it from book one, and there's an EMP or something, all my solar grid would be all wiped out. But I'm thinking about it. But we have a spring that starts on the property,
okay.
runs out of the hill, runs through the property, feeds a half-acre pond that is stocked with fish. We have an artesian spring that was capped, and that is our well, and
Okay.
so it pumps water all the time without power. It's just pumping water out of an overflow. And we've actually struggled a lot, though. We've been here 9 years, and that was another reason we started Mountain Readiness, is we wanted a place that we could go to learn,
Mhm.
because we are by no means, at some awesome spot in the preparedness community. We've plenty of failures. I mean, our garden has had all kinds of issues. We've struggled with wildlife. Now we're learning about permaculture and companion planting, and
Mhm.
what kind of plants to plant to keep deer out. There is hordes of deer around here, man. They will just wipe you out in seconds.
Yeah.
Um, Struggling with the soil of the hills of North Carolina. A lot of acidic red clay. But we're coming along. The fruit orchards in. We've got the chickens. We're getting ready to we got to get some goats running through the woods here and clearing. And then we've got sheep planned for the future. But, I think it doesn't, we're all on the same journey, right?
Mhm.
We're all on the same journey. It's just, we're just all at different spots on the road. So
Yeah.
we're here, we are, but we got to keep plugging away. Can't
Well,
give
it
up.
sounds exciting, man. I mean, obviously you always, our goal is to get prepared because, if something goes down and we have to live on our own and do all that stuff, we want to be there. So, we maintain as normal life as possible and,
Yes.
take care of your family and everything else. And at the same time, it, it's kind of fun, right? Like I've always enjoyed it. I enjoy the learning, like you're sitting there. I've never been much. I mean, I grew up in Los Angeles. I've never been much for planting and growing stuff, right? And so I'm giving that a shot this year in the back little garden here. And I'm looking at going, I don't know crap. Like I do not know crap about how to. And I'll go out when I go buy chives at the grocery store. I cut the roots off and I go toss them out in the front yard in little holes, and I got some chives. So I guess I can maybe
Right.
grow some old chives. But at the same time, it's like you said, you're like, hey, you're trying to figure out the soil, what can grow in your area, and everything like that. So
That's
it's kind of
it.
an adventure, but kind of with something on the back end of it that I need to figure this out.
Yeah. The mountain readiness event, we've got so much going on there. We've got, Billy Bond's Permapastures Farm. Billy is just an amazing guy, permaculture. Same thing with Sean Tom Mullen, Daniel Salatin, Mike Dixon. We're going to be hands on processing chickens. We're going to be hands on processing pig. We're going to
Nice.
be doing, Billy's going to be teaching tactical food forests, the 7 layers of the forest, how to companion plant and how when you put this together, get away from the tilling, no till concepts. uh, I think there's one thing that stands true, and we as people, we always try to fight Mother Nature, and in the end Mother Nature will always win, right?
Ain't gonna
You
beat
have
Mother
to
Nature.
work. I spent years of my life planting plants in perfect pretty rows,
Yeah.
and that's not how Mother Nature works, right?
Uh,
It's not how Mother Nature works. We got to have plants that handle the acidity in the soil next to the fruit trees. We got to have daffodils and herbs planted to keep the deer away from eating your food. There's all these little things that make the big difference, and that's why, um, if you don't come to mountain readiness, go somewhere, do something, get out there and learn something, because we have lost our identity as a people. We've been indoctrinated in thinking that the white picket fence and the 30-year mortgage is how we were supposed to live. And
mhm.
it's not. I'm not dissing college. I'm not,
Yeah.
I quit school at 14,
Yeah.
high school dropout, zero college. Um, I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I am saying that there's something to be said for the trades. I took
Yeah.
up trade schools. I'm an ASE certified heavy duty diesel mechanic. Been doing that for 26 years in transportation. I've got over 25 years in the construction business. I have 26 years, about the same, both wrenching and building houses. Um, you know, we got to focus more on these skills that we've been told are not important. We've been
Mhm.
told that we need to go become, look, doctors and lawyers, it's great professions, but we only need so many computer programmers, right?
Yeah.
If the angry American's right and this computer quits working, that computer programming degree ain't gonna help, it ain't gonna feed you no more. Okay.
Yeah.
So um, we got to get back to those basics, and we got to start getting our hands dirty again.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big proponent of the whole college education stuff. And I say that having a master's degree, I have a master's in business. It never really did much for me. I grew up, my dad's a mechanic. I grew up, he just shut down his diesel repair business. He did that. He started tearing cars apart when he was 13, and he's 82 now. He just shut down this year. He shut down he got tired of turning
Awesome.
wrenches and had a mobile repair business. So I worked with him a bunch. And, I have a bachelor's in security management, and I look back at it now and it was fun. I enjoy writing papers and reading and learning about stuff, but it didn't really give me any practical skills, any practical knowledge of, what what we're talking about and how to handle life. I mean, the security management stuff, there were some classes that, taught me security procedures and how to do stuff that helped me when I was working overseas. But it I think you getting your ASC certification and bending nails for a bunch of years is probably in the long run a lot more useful than, what I did.
Come on, I tell you, it's we we've just been lied to, and
Yeah.
it's all of our fault, right? It's all of our fault. We bought into the BS that's pumped, and we've been indoctrinated in. I being homeschooled really was a plus for us kids. We didn't have electricity, so we didn't watch really much TV. There was we played musical instruments, we played chess, we read books all the time, because that was all we had to do. We built a lot of things with our hands. We played outside and breathed fresh air, and so I can attribute a lot of where I went in life due to my upbringing with not being stuck in that system being programmed. And it's not anything against it. Look, there's good
Yeah.
schools, there's bad schools, there's good teachers, there's bad teachers, but at the end of the day, um, we got to quit my job in transportation that I ended my career as a transfer. I was a regional operations director for a huge mobile truck and trailer repair company.
Hmm.
And for 9 years, that's why I moved here to North Carolina to do this job. And the money was great. Don't get me wrong, but I literally sold my soul for that paycheck.
Yeah.
And a lot of this homestead that we moved here to do was put on the back burner, chasing pieces of paper with dead people on it. Right? That's what it come down to. I bought into the BS. Oh no, you can't. You got to make that money. You got to make that money. Look, people, it's paper with dead people printed on it with no other backing, and you sell your soul for it. You
Hmm.
know, we got to quit looking at what the world tells us we're supposed to have, and we need to start taking the blinders off and getting that 360 view. Hey, what's most important? It's home, it's family, it's sustainability, it's your community, it's your friends, it's your all building that inner circle. If you can build the inner circle,
Hmm.
and that outer circle, those people that may not be that core group, but are going to be people that you may lean on as time goes on. And we all got to make a paycheck, but there's something to be said for balance. You got to balance.
Yeah. No, I think that's spot on. I think that's we lose a lot of that today. People just grind and they go after, like you said, they chase the dollar. I've been there, just like you. I was there. I was like, oh,
Same
let me get
deal.
this next promotion, man. I wanna be in charge. I want to keep doing this stuff, thinking that somewhere along the way I'd get there and it'd be like, this is great. It's the greatest thing ever. And it wasn't until I pulled myself out of all of that, that I'm like, no, this is the greatest thing ever. I don't make the money I used to for sure, and life's a little bit more of a struggle on a lot of things, but at the same time, I'm so much happier now. And I have a book coming out, and I outlined what I think are the goals of preparedness. Right, number one, to survive. If you don't survive, everything stops after that. Number two, to minimize your unwanted struggle. There's struggle we want. Whatever that is, you trying to figure out how to grow food in the acidic soil of North Carolina. That's a wanted struggle. Try to minimize our unwanted struggles though that come with job loss and illness and all that. And then
Yes.
when I was writing it, that was where I stopped. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then as I kept working on the book, I kept looking back. I go, but what's the point of those two? Like, what's the point of, okay, I survived and I've minimized my unwanted struggle, but what does that mean for me? And it's to live a good life, to live your best possible life. And
Exactly.
you don't get
Exactly.
there chasing the dollar. Maybe you think you do. I don't feel you do. It doesn't
Yeah.
work for me. Doesn't sound like it works for you. It doesn't sound like you don't get there in my world of chasing the dollar, chasing some, next higher rung in corporate America, where no matter how high you go, odds are you're going to still be below the CEO and the runner, the people that run the company, and subject to their whims.
you can run yourself to death, man. You can run yourself to death. And people, here's something that I learned too, is that growing up very poor. I mean, we were poor. Not a not, no pity for me, man. It made us tough. I'm not scared of it at all. But so success for me was always based on a monetary value,
Right.
right? How much more money I can make. My first job, 15 years old as a mason. I'm getting paid, $10 an hour. He fires the other two laborers. Now I'm making $12 an hour. I mean, I was rich. I was killing it. 15 years old, $12 an hour. I'm high on the hog. And so as I progressed through life, I always shot for a little more and a little more and a little more. And so this job here was a very large salary. But I found that the more you make, the more that you pay out to the big Uncle Sam, right?
Yeah.
And when you start rationing out, okay, I paid X amount to the federal government, and I paid this in the state. I could have just like had a regular job and had all this extra time on my hands,
Yeah.
right? And done probably better for myself. Another thing that I found is I have four children, two sons, two daughters. They're all 18 and older, two grandsons now, started
Congrats.
young in life. And my daughter and grandsons live just half hour from me, so I get to hang out with them all the time, and try to do things different as a young father. I beat my kids up and was rough on them and stuff, and now I get to, it's funny as we progress through life how with the kids you fight and you struggle, and then all of a sudden you got grandkids. You're like, man, this is so awesome having kids. I told my daughter the other day, she's like, how you doing, Dad? I said, hey, where's the boys at? And she's like, well, don't you want to see me? I was like, no, I don't want to see you. I'm here for the grandsons. But we I always, with four kids, I was like, oh, I got to work three jobs because the food bill's $500 a month. The reality of it is if I would have started raising a garden, I probably could have cut that big expense out, worked less, and spent
Yeah.
all that quality time building relationship with the children and doing something constructive like growing a garden, right? And these are things that I wish that I could go back and tell myself, back when I thought the almighty dollar was what I should be chasing down.
Yeah. Well, I think that's, people have to, well, I don't know if they have to. I think people should, and it's hard, but people need to redefine what success is. Cause you get back to what you're mentioning about, college and everything else. Our society pushes that. And it's really what success is what you determine as success, and that your barometer should be, do you feel like you're having a good life? Are you happy? Like I imagine if you could turn back the clock and do that, you spending the extra time working out in the garden and watching your kids pick up worms and all the other stuff out there would have been a much happier prospect for you
Most
that
definitely.
you'd be happy about.
100%, 100%. Um, and really, what success to me now in life, we're living on borrowed time, whether the world ends tomorrow or next year, or I just croak because I'm getting old.
Mhm.
Success as I get older is what legacy do I leave behind for my children and my grandchildren? What do I leave behind them? Because as growing up with the way we lived with, basically it was by the bootstraps, and we were building from the ground up from the time I was a child till now. So,
Mhm.
my success is going to be, what can I leave behind? What legacy can I leave behind for my kids and grandkids, so that they don't have a lot of the stresses and hardships that I have now. Doesn't mean I'm going to give it to them. I mean, I've been told my kids, I said, look, you ain't helping me over here on the homestead on the back 40. Like, I'll give this stuff away to the first homeless dude I see. Like, I'll sign it right over and not even think twice about it. But building that wealth for that generational wealth, whether it be in property or preps or gold or silver or whatever value want to put on it, is nobody looks long term anymore. They're just focused on right here in front of me. What can I get? What can I have? Long term sustainability is what we need to be focusing on.
Well, and I think, from the sounds of it, you've given them long-term sustainability in, you know, in your approach to life and how you've raised them, right? Like you've helped give them probably a mindset that they're resilient. And, I think I personally, I think that's probably one of the best legacies you could leave a person, right? Like,
Definitely.
that they're prepared and they're going to pass on good thoughts and good perspectives that help out the future generations.
And who knows? I don't think we have, I don't know, I don't believe that the world that we live in as we know it is going to be like this for much longer. And
Probably
I know
not.
people have been saying this for, many moons,
Mhm.
but you know, we've been talking for, I remember 20 years ago talking about, well, if this happens, well, maybe this happens. Man, the ifs and the maybes are past tense now. Now it's the wins and the hows. I mean, we're at the point, with the borders and flooding in with all these fighting age males, and my cell phone's not working across the board. And I think the next phase that we're going to see here is going to be digital currency, and I think that's where the major turning point we're going to see in this United States. It's a sad thing. People in America, they look at these third world countries and they're like, "Oh my gosh, look how bad is Venezuela, and look at Ukraine, look how bad it is over there," and they think that it can't happen here. It's happening under our noses right now. It's
Yeah.
it's 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 you can't print up money like it's going out of style and expect it to last forever, right?
Yeah. Well, and you can't look at, countries, Venezuela or other countries and say, oh, look at how corrupt they are. They're not telling the people the truth. And then you have inflation that's probably eight. I think, if the government stopped dialing it up so that way it made them look good, right? Dialing down the numbers that they tell us, and they actually gave us the raw numbers, it would be 18 to 20% right now or something along those lines. So when you have a government and leadership that's lying to you and giving you propaganda nonstop, you are one of those countries because they're
We
trying to
are.
hide they wouldn't be hiding the fact if everything was gumdrops and unicorn farts. That wouldn't be a
That's it.
thing.
Smoke and mirrors. I'm pretty sure that if we had the real numbers and we actually had the backbone that our ancestors had, that we would be tossing tea into the harbor by now. I mean, that's because that's what our ancestors did. Um, and I think we're worse off than what they were as far as taxation, dollar for dollar.
Sure.
Um, but we've been dumbed down. We've got the sheep here. People are happy to give all half their check away and come home and watch their favorite show on the television and just veg out on the couch. And that's a
Idiocracy.
that's a sad, horrible place to be. It comes back right back, and this isn't a call to people to revolt and do stupid things. If you want to make a difference in the world, grow a garden,
Yeah.
right? You don't like high prices on groceries? Grow your own groceries. You know, that's how we did it 60 years ago. Uh, uh, get some chickens, become self-sustainable. You remember. I don't even know if they do this anymore. I haven't even heard of it. Like a national gas out day where everybody was supposed to not buy gas to bring the
Right.
prices of the gas down, right? Yeah, how'd that work?
Yeah. No one ever
It
did it.
doesn't. It's crap. It
Yeah.
doesn't work. It never does. It's smoke and mirrors. So do something, that actually does make a difference, because not only is it making a difference in, uh, uh, not supporting maybe systems that are no good, but you actually know where your food's coming from. How important is that? Because I'll tell you, some of this
Oh,
food too, you start looking at the ingredients on this stuff, man. GMOs, genetically modified this. Oh, I went through the aisle of the bread aisle the other day, and out of, man, I bet you I looked at 50 different loaves of bread, and I only found one loaf that said that didn't say may contain bioengineered uh
right.
substances. I'm like, what in the world? Genetic, this GMO stuff is no
Well,
wonder we're so sick.
Think about how wild it is too, man. I guess it's and and people listen to the show. I try to eat organic as much as possible. I've been doing that for a while now. And I do it because I started looking at it and like, what, and it's funny because usually it's our side of the political spectrum or the conservative side that usually craps on that stuff, right? And I look at it and go, what sense, why should I eat something that when I see GMO, I just think of alien, right?
Yeah.
Manufactured, like plastic. Like, why don't I just, instead of just drinking water out of the plastic bottle, why don't I eat the whole thing? And I'm not saying I don't drink out of plastic bottles, but
Right.
it eating organic is, I'm trying to eat what's natural without a bunch of crap on it. I mean, you see the thing now with Bill Gates is putting this appeal on all the fruit. They're pushing this stuff, and it helps keep the fruit. Say,
Organic
they
peel.
say it keeps it more fresh,
Yeah.
but you're putting a chemical on it. Like that's
Yes. Yeah.
there's a
You're talking about
problem there.
you're talking about Organapil.
Yeah,
Yeah, Organapil. And what's crazy is you can Google Organapil, and the second thing down when you Google Organapil is the MSDS data sheet, right?
the chemical
That
data
data
sheet.
sheet, the chemical data sheet, it says 1% citric acid, 99% other. And in the left top corner is a big old check mark under pesticides. So not only are we genetically modifying a seed to grow, and remember, it's not only modified to grow in bad conditions, but they are implanting
Roundup.
pesticides in the seed,
Yeah.
i.e., Roundup. I.e., if you guys are familiar with Joel Salatin with Polyface Farms, you should probably watch Food Inc. With the whole Monsanto
Yeah.
train wreck of the day. But not only are we producing a seed that is genetically modified, impregnated with pesticides, but then after we harvest it, we spray it down with straight pesticides called Organapil. And that's after spraying multiple times through the process of the plant growing as well. So we are not only I mean, we're eating pure pesticides. We quit eating a lot of stuff from the store for vegetables and fruits. And here a while back, my wife picked up a thing of salad. She washed this with vinegar and water like 4 or 5 times. We couldn't eat it. We couldn't eat it because the taste of chemicals were so bad. It's amazing
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
sensitive the body gets, right? It's even more amazing the what your body is capable of getting used to as far as
Mhm.
bad eating and health. You get away from that stuff, man. You can taste it, you can smell it a mile away. It is amazing how much chemical and just bad stuff that is in our food currently.
Yeah, I go on a thing when I see people drink, when I have friends that drink soda. I'm kind of I guess it bugs me so much in a way. I'm a little bit of I'm probably a snob about it, and I should probably just shut my mouth sometimes. But
Yeah.
I stopped drinking soda years ago, and I went to this like coffee, tea, and like ice water, and occasionally I'll have a little milk or something. But
Same.
anyhow, um, when I've gone back and like, well, let me try this Coke or try that. Like I take it, and where it used to be like had sweet and tasty, as
Yeah.
soon as I get a little bit of it, all I taste are chemicals in it. And it's interesting how you say that. Like
It's
you
horrible.
get so used to it when you get away from it, you're really quick to notice like, oh, like there's something not right about this.
I will tell you, it's you same thing. I am a huge ice cream junkie, right?
Oh,
I'll
right.
admit it, man. I will buy a thing of like chocolate peanut butter ice cream or
Oh,
moose tracks or something. I eat the whole half gallon one setting. But we have been getting away from processed food, processed
right.
sugars. These past couple of years, we've really, and the older you get, I used to think that I knew something about health and fitness when I was in my 20s. in the gym every day. I mean, I was benching 350, top notch shape. I'm like, I know something about health. As I get older, I realized I didn't know nothing about health. I was just young, right?
Yeah.
So as we get older, we realize that we weren't as smart as what we thought we were. So we have to start actually taking care of ourselves. Um, but our eating, we've been pulling back from all this stuff. And here a while back, I told my wife, I was like, man, grab us a half gallon of ice cream, So we loaded up the bowls. We're sitting there on the couch, and I scarfed this down. I didn't even come up for air, and we go to bed. And I'm laying in bed, man. I'm gonna tell you right now, my heart is beating 100 miles a minute. I'm sweating. I feel like I'm about to stroke out. I thought something was wrong with me. I told my wife, I said, "Hey, I said, are you okay?" She's like, "I don't know." I'm like, my heart's beating real fast, and it was just the sugar and the stuff that's in that stuff. We didn't even
Corn syrup,
realize
I
what it was
bet.
doing to us. Yeah.
Yeah, I notice now, like if I eat something or drink something that has corn syrup in it, because corn
Yeah.
syrup's in just about everything, I start getting phlegm building up my throat. It's an allergic reaction, right? My body's
It is.
reacting to this stuff, and so I just always, when I was out in LA, I would gripe at my old man about it, and because he. Yeah, he grew up back in the day. I remember as a kid. Remember, like they had TV dinners that were in the foil, and it was like, wow, look at this. This is science, right? Like this is the future. We can
Yeah.
just throw this thing in and you have
Go
a
in
hungry
there.
man Salisbury steak and some corn that tastes like crud. And
Yeah.
that's how he was raised. He was raised on like, oh, all this stuff is marvelous. It's technology. And I talked to
Right.
him. I was just like, look at what's in there. You wouldn't go out and eat any of that stuff on its own because you're like, no, that's chemical. Like I'm not going to do it.
Oh yeah. It's funny that the United States is only one of a couple countries who actually even allow GMOs in the country. Like
Yeah.
most countries in the entire world will not allow a genetically modified seed even into the country. It's illegal. You can't bring it in, you can't plant it, you can't use it. But 80% of our corn is GMO
Yeah.
um, garbage. Um, and it's funny seeing the ingredients of European countries and other countries versus ours. Like um, a let's a chicken place that's very very popular that has a chicken fillet sandwich. You look at the ingredients like monosodium glutamate, chicken, sugar,
Yeah.
fructose. That there's like 50 ingredients, and then you see the same chicken sandwich over in Europe, and it says chicken.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
are we going wrong? Like if your chicken has 50 ingredients, you probably shouldn't eat it.
Probably not. Well, because it's not chicken then, right? Really, it's
It's not.
I did catch something. I just watched a little bit of the video the other day. I don't know if you ever watch Survival Lily. Her name is. She's it's a YouTube
Know the
channel and
name.
she's out of Europe. And I want to say that she was up there complaining, like she was running a video and she had the document in her hand or some copy of it that I want to say Europe's starting to open the door on that. She was upset. She's like,
Ah,
"Oh, here we go. Look at this." But yeah, I
it's there you
100%
have
agree
it.
with you.